much for speaking with me. You have a lot of things going on that is just amazing. Can we start off with? I know there's Adam and Eve. You're currently in production
Hmm.
doing right
Hmm.
now. I know
Yes,
you play an ex-Marine and it's
yes,
a love story with a checkered
yes,
past.
yes.
Can you please tell me a little bit more?
Yeah, it's just that it's these two people who fall in love,
Mhm.
and they both have skeletons in their closet and things and issues that have been a part of their lives in the past. And once they figure out that they're soulmates, is at the point when their skeletons start to creep up and ultimately prevents them from moving forward and living happily ever after. So they're dealing with that, trying to overcome that and move forward, but it proves to be very difficult to make happen. It's hard, like love often is in real life, and so
Mhm.
it's a drama. Which a lot of my films in the past are comedy, so I'm excited about that. I think people are going to be shocked by the complete switch, but I think they're going to enjoy the film a lot.
Right. Now, as an actor, a comedic actor, do you
Mhm.
then change how you go about discovering the character and kind of researching the role now that it's a drama?
Absolutely, because the challenge is when people are tied into seeing you one way, you have to really, really, really be in pocket if you decide you want to step outside that and show them something new. So it does require you paying very close attention to the details of the character, which is something I did do, and just try to be in the moment in every scene and understand that this is very different character detached from myself, which just has some very different things going on mentally inside of him. So I did prep quite a bit to stay in that space, and
Mhm.
that coupled with the everything else going on and me also directing and producing, it required intense focus, and that's not even to add on the whole COVID situation that we
Right.
were dealing with. So yeah.
Wow, that is incredible. And I was wondering, you're also doing the producing. You said your goal is to you doing directing also. As an actor, what would you say kind of influenced that decision to take those different avenues as well?
My background and my foundation has been built on independent filmmaking. And when I
Mhm.
started off, I wasn't a director. But what happened over those years is uh, uh, I was forced to wear many hats. And, we never had 200 people on set, because we were doing this on very modest budgets. So I was learning so much as I went along, and I didn't even realize it. I didn't even know how much I knew about directing and lighting and camera, but it was just all something that was sort of organically happening for us to be able to get these movies from start to finish. And so in that, it was sort of just a natural progression. And I was about to take on and do a film when I directed my first film. And as we were looking for directors, I was seeing that I really came to the conclusion that, because I wrote the film, there was no one really more qualified to get us from A to Z than myself, and to understand, the details involved with pulling something off with a modest budget. And so I stepped in with that film, and I sort of fell in love with directing just as I do acting. And so now, because it's been a little pause as I was doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff,
Mhm.
working with a lot of the comics and actors, writing for them and so on and so forth. But, with the decision to jump back in and get back in and start doing my independent films, which has been my foundation, I'm just sort of the mindset to write, produce, and direct, just to be able to keep these things, being created how I would like them to be created until we get to another level to where I can start to bring in some new, young, fresh, and first time directors. But it was just sort of a natural production, and I just love filmmaking. So I went out and tackled it. And I think when you see the film, you're going to be like, okay, yeah, this is right.
Now, would you say the writing fuels the acting, or is it the acting that fuels the writing, or is it both?
It's both as a creator because visually, usually a writer is a writer,
Mhm,
and they may not be a director or a producer, creative, so they don't see things like you necessarily see things. And so, as an actor, when I write, I have a unique perspective on how things will look, sound, and feel. And as a writer, when I write, I also have a different perspective on how things will look, sound, and feel. So
mhm,
to be able to combine those two and even add the element of directing on how these scenes sort of take place and the tone of each scene in a film, it's sort of, it's sort of a very cool orchestra with, folks from writing to acting, directing, who are very good playing their specific instruments
mhm.
and then pulling that all together to create the perfect song within that orchestra. And that's sort of the best way to describe it. But they all sort of push and peel and pull and supplement each other if it's done right. If it's not, done right, and they don't supplement each other, you get a movie that you be like, why did I watch that? They owe me 90 minutes of my life back. Like, what the hell was that? Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, yes.
Right. So, during for Adam and Eve, what would you say was the driving force when you look at the script and you look at everything? Is it how it makes you feel emotionally, or is it through the imagery that you really can connect with that character and that story?
It is both. Again,
Okay.
the feel and your backdrop is a character, in my opinion. So these locations that we chose in San Francisco, the wardrobe, it all plays a part in bringing the film and the character to life. So in addition to the words and the scene, I think again it all works together. And I think that's the mistake of a lot of directors and producers when they're putting something together, thinking everything is sort of independent. Like I
Mhm,
don't need to know um, as an actor or producer the details of a location before I start shooting, and that's just so not true. And if you're doing it right, all these elements have to be paid attention to very much so. The color of Adam's shirt versus the color of Eve's shirt, the background of the room, the color of the walls that they will
mhm.
be in versus their shirt, the mood, you know what I mean? If I'm about to, break up with someone and we're crying, a loud pink with, you know, checkerboard, black and white bubble, it plays
Right.
against that mood. So if you're doing it right, you're considering all of that in making a film. And that's what I try to make sure that I do.
Right. And one of the things I was wondering, what would Adam and Eve, I know this was done during COVID, obviously.
Yes.
So, how do you approach with that going on? Do you find yourself allowing, because I guess it's a lot scaled back? Is
Mhm.
it more restrictive to the process, or because you're able to find different and creative ways, it's kind of more freeing in a sense?
It was, I was accustomed to having to make films with, one hand, two hands behind my tied behind my back because,
Mhm.
always had to figure out a way to supplement not having all the resources that in the world that we want. And so this was similar but different. And with COVID, the way I got around it was I really scaled down the crew and I stretched out the schedule, which allowed us to move at a slower, safer pace
Mm,
and with a group that we can all know what everyone is doing in between evenings when we weren't working, as well as when we're on set, being able to have that distance and space. So it was that which was really key to allowing us to move freely and get this film done.
Mhm.
But it's definitely another animal to have to deal with the intricacies of COVID while trying to, make a
Right.
great movie. But and I gave it a lot of thought, because when you're doing something, and again, um, with a film like this, stretching out the schedule means stretching out your money. But it was the only way to get it done.
Right.
It was the right decision. So I think we end up shooting 25, 30 days to get it done. And we safely got it done. We were testing rapid tests for COVID. And, thank goodness we all, were safe and no one got COVID. And I attribute that to it being a very small group and we moved at a pace that was comfortable.
Right. Now we have to talk about Left of Bang Entertainment.
Yes.
This is a wonderful thing that you're doing where you're giving back to the youth and the community so that they're able to experience kind of like the joy of filmmaking and discover that path for their own. So how did this idea come about and why was it so important?
I think the idea came about, I just sort of came to a crossroads in my life where I'm trying to just figure out what else,
Mhm.
what am I doing? And, and how can I, there has to be more than this. This is filmmaking is great, but what am I leaving? And in that, I went on a journey to sort of figure that out. And there was a number of things that led me to that aha moment. But it all came to a head, and the question is, if I had the opportunity to save a child's life, would I?
Mhm.
And that answer is yes. And what I mean by that is I was at one, I'm a Rotarian, and I was at a Rotary meeting, and the ex-chief of police came in, and he was speaking about kids and youth and gangs and so on and so forth. And they said, at the age of 3, we know with certainty that a child will end up in jail and prison. And so I paused and I'm
Wow.
like, okay, I'm waiting for the rest of it because that just couldn't be it, but that was it. And they know that by the geographical area that the child is born and lives in, the number of gangs, territories that kid has to walk through to get to and from school, whether their parents were in jail or in a gang. And from that, at the age of 3, with this kid that, doesn't know what jail is or many other things, life will end up in jail or prison. And so it's only because they don't have the resources that others have. And so obviously I had to take action. And so
Mhm.
what Left the Bang is our mission is to reach back into the inner city and and give those youth an olive branch so that they could be a part of the magic of Hollywood. And what it does is it teaches them the skills and gives them the knowledge and the expertise that allows them provide for themselves and their families. But if nothing else, if they walk away from the program with a sense of self and understanding they can dream beyond their sometimes limited circumstances,
Right.
because most of these kids, when they join gangs and do some of these things, it's not because they want to be in a gang. It's just they're looking for a sense of family, and that's one of the number one reasons that kids join gangs. They want a sense of family, they want a sense of belonging, and these are the only options that they have. And
Mhm.
so that's just a natural human instinct that we all need to thrive and survive, a sense of family. And these kids are going to seek this out, even if it's with a gang. So we want to be another option and we want to provide that sense of family and belonging for them. Because as I always say, given the option of these youth to choose between shooting guns or shooting movies, they would choose shooting movies every time.
Right.
And so that's what we're going to provide to them, to another option other than choosing between bad and worse. And once you crack the surface of that, and that lure of entertainment and celebrity, when you cut open that cake, what it is layers and layers and layers of mentorship for these youth. So we support them in whatever they want to do. So they fall in love with filmmaking, great. But if they want to be doctors, attorneys, whatever their heart desires, we're going to support them in that mission too. And it's just a point to where I decided no longer will I be making films or doing entertainment just to entertain. It must have some sort of social impact. We cannot just go through life trying to see how much stuff we can get. You know what I mean? How much
Mhm.
stuff
Right.
can I get? You know what I mean? That's not a life. And if 2020 hasn't caused you to realize that, then you really need to take a look in the mirror. And so now everything I do um, will kick back to these youth, supporting them and leading them to a happy and fulfilled life. And so when I say we're saving lives, I literally mean we're saving lives, because at the age of 3, if someone like myself or you or another group doesn't step in
Mhm.
to extend a hand to these youth, they're going to prison and jail. And by 21, they're even in prison or dead. And so Left of Bang is committed to reaching out to these youth and giving them another option. And, you know, why wouldn't I do that? You
Right.
know? And so that's what the program is about. That's what our mission is. And that's what we do.
Right. That's amazing. Wow. Now I know that you're going to have virtual classes and a lot of guest speakers. I was wondering if you already have planned, what does the schedule look like for someone who's looking to sign up?
It's the first class will be small because it's just starting,
Hmm.
and but it's something ultimately I would like to do from now until the end of time, every quarter. And this is a filmmaking one-on-one, but ultimately there will be an acting class, a makeup class, a directing class, and so on and so forth. And it will be for these youth, and it will be free, and it will be free forever. And how we arrived online is, you know, I was going to schools and I was meeting, and we were set up for these kids to be on set and all these cool things. But then COVID hit
Hmm.
and we were forced to pause. And I was sitting there and we were all waiting for information. Or it'll be in a month and a half. It's going to be 4 months. Little did we know. And
Hmm.
so as I was waiting, I was noticing that these youth were suffering. If it was hard for us adults, imagine what they were going through. Suicide rate among teens had spiked and it was through the roof. And I had heard about one too many suicides. And I said, you know what? I gotta push forward. I have to do something. While it may be comfortable for me to wait to 2020 till things are safe and clear and cooler, these youth don't have that same opportunity or
Right.
comfort to do that. And in fact, these gangs are active at work, still recruiting them. And COVID is the last thing that they're worried about, because there's so many other barriers and obstacles they have to overcome just to get to the surface to where they can, oh, okay, now all I have to do is put on a mask and be safe. They have to go through so much more to get to the surface to where that's all they have to worry about. And so I said, I have to do something. And when I started, it was just keeping in touch with them weekly. We do weekly Zoom calls, and I would just see how they were doing, what they were up to, you know what I mean? What was on their mind, what was bothering, how was school? And they loved it. And I just stayed connected so they knew that I was there. And all the things that we were planning before this happened, we were going to continue to do. And I would keep them updated with the progress, which is one of the reason that I said, you know what, I have to strap up my boots and figure out a way to get this Adam and Eve movie done so that
Hmm.
they can virtually be a part of that. And so I
Wow.
was able to link with them through Zoom on days on set, have Zoom calls to keep them updated of what was going on and how it's going on. And again, as the pandemic and the lockdown continued to be extended, I said, you know what? I'm not going to wait. For now, this is the new norm. So let's do a virtual class to keep these kids engaged and to keep them pushing forward so that they know that I'm here and I'm going to be here. And so that's sort of how we evolved into the film school class, and where we're at now. So I'm excited about that. And I will have a lot of my celebrity friends popping in to say hey and support these youth. And again, I just hope that one day to grow it to be, thousands and thousands of kids, every class across the world who could just get the basics of filmmaking and what I know, but
Mhm.
more importantly, just get a sense of self and family and know that we're there to help create a foundation for whatever they want to do so that they have the opportunities to live happy and fulfilled lives. Because for a child at 3, um, who doesn't have a concept of anything, to be headed to jail or prison is not okay.
Right. Now, speaking of everything that you do in the creative field, I was wondering, what would you say is one of the biggest or most important lessons that you've learned
In the creative field,
in the creative field that you can pass on to others?
I would say it's been my independence. When we made our first film, um, it was $13,000. It was called Q. When we finished, it was absolutely horrible. It was horrible, but it was funny.
Mhm.
And we licensed that film, that $13,000 film, and it went on to make $800,000.
Nice.
So the lesson in that is don't, you have to take a chance
Mhm.
and you have to take a shot. And you can't sit around planning and plotting and rehearsing and waiting for ideal situations because time will pass and it'll never be ideal. So I employ folks to just take a step out on faith as we did. And again, like I said, the film wasn't great, so we didn't get it right,
Right.
but we got it. We did it. And we created a lane and path for ourselves that allowed, it's the foundation of me being able to provide for myself and my family today. So I would say you have to take a shot on yourself, your ideas, and what you want to do. And please keep an independent mind. You know, there are enough resources. The cameras are less expensive. The smartphones are amazing. There's plenty of people who want to be in production, whether you just want to direct. There's a ton of people who want to act, ton of people who want to produce, ton of people who want to do camera. Find that group, find that team, pull them together and make a movie for nothing. There's so many different outlets now. It's not just like the majors to where they have to say okay and then your work can be displayed. There are hundreds of outlets online and other that support content. So I would say you have to stay independent minded. You have to look to create space for yourself and you have to go.
Mhm.
Don't get stuck in the planning stage. Just go and let it rip. And that's what I would tell them. It's just now it's just the perfect independent time and you can really get something done from almost nothing that you can sell or showcase on a number of different outlets.
Right. And I was wondering also, through this entire COVID mess that we've gone through, and you're still able to be productive and you're doing things and you're showing these children, don't let anything stop you, even a pandemic.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I was wondering overall, with Left of Bang, how has it changed you as a person?
It has I have completely evolved.
Mhm.
And it's crazy. Um I was at a place to where I was making my films and entertainment and I had lost the fire and the excitement about it.
Mm.
It was starting to feel like a job and I didn't really know what was missing. And I credit my mentors, George Antone and Willie Hooks, for helping me to piece this all together. Because when I came to them, I had a bunch of, like, best described it, these Legos, a bunch of cool Lego blocks. And it was just the Legos in a bag. And then once I put them out on the table, they just saw all the opportunity and that I had all the pieces there to do something special. And they helped me um, sort of form, this left of bang in this building, because I was going to school to be a teacher. you know.
Mm,
That's my foundation. I've always had a love for youth, and my calling was filmmaking. And so my path sort of led there with acting and filmmaking. And what Left the Bang Entertainment gives me the, ability to do is combine my love of youth with my gift of filmmaking and helping to save lives and push, my projects forward. So it has it just has given me a glow
mhm,
that I honestly have never felt before. But I think people don't realize when you give just from your heart without expecting anything back, there's no greater feeling. And there simply isn't. And I challenge you to go and do something for someone just because and see how that makes you feel, you know? And that's one of the things I learned when I joined the Rotary. Um, and the Rotaries, our motto is service over self, um, which is such an amazing thing. And as I was going there so that I could serve and give, the energy that I was getting back, I was like, wow, this feel good. Like I like coming here. And then
mhm,
it just, and it just all accumulated to where, when you give, you get so much back. And
right,
again, I challenge you to challenge me on that and go and give. It feels so amazing. So it has pushed me to this place that I've never been. And I'm excited about everything that I'm doing and passionate about the change and my ability to change these youth's lives. And
right.
so that's everything to me. And it feels amazing. And it has really brought me um, to a place in my life that I've just never been happier, you know what I mean, because I'm making a difference. And that's why I say when we save lives and you think about the plight of this 3-year-old because of the geographical area that they were born and live in, and being able to alter that,
Right.
there's just nothing greater.
Wow. So you have Left of Bang, you're still acting, you're writing, you're producing. What is next for you?
um I just want, my goal is to grow Left of Bang to where
Mhm,
it's just bigger than me. And long after I'm gone, it's this big machine that spits out scholarships and
mhm,
mentors youth and allows them to be on set and teaches them to film school every quarter. And if that's where I want to take that to. And I'll continue to make my films because I love it. And I've been blessed to be able to create in this independent space how I want, when I want. And that's everything for me. And if I can, if I can keep those two things pushing forward, then that's everything. So for me, that's next.
right. Wow. And lastly, where can we find Left of Bang?
Left to Bang Entertainment, you can find online,
Mhm,
social media. Left to Bang Entertainment is the handle on Facebook, on Instagram, and you can DM there to get more information. The website is lefttobang entertainment.com. And we will also, in order to sort of push the mission forward, we're going to be doing a crowdfunding. So I didn't want, these projects and these kids future to be at the mercy of an executive at a studio who may or may not get the cause, but rather
right.
take it directly to the people who care. And so we're looking to raise funds to support them in the next project and the next film, and just again, break that cycle. They will not, under my watch, be limited to a life in prison or jail if I can have anything to say about it.
Incredible. Thank you for everything that you're doing. This is remarkable.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
No problem.